Hello and welcome to the December 2013 Teacher Feature interview. Last one of the year. This month we are in Studio B, sitting down in front of the altar with Carrie Reganato.
Hello.
Hey Carrie, thanks for doing this. Carrie teaches two classes at Kula as of this month. They're both midday Monday. Noon in Studio B, she is starting a new class called Lunch Break Vinyasa. It's an organic vinyasa practice that she'll tell you a little bit more about, but it's just a little 45-minute pick-me-up in the middle of the day. And then after that, she teaches a full class in Studio A at 1 p.m., which is going to be a new class on the schedule as of this month. It's gentle yoga. So just more of a way to slow down and practice at your own pace and reconnect. And I'm sure she'll tell us a little bit more about that too. So thank you so much for carving out some time this morning. And I usually start these interviews just asking the teachers to give the students who are watching a little bit of a sense of your personal practice and how you found your way onto a yoga mat in the first place.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I think my experience with the yoga mat actually began not in a yoga class. If I really think back to it, I think the first time indirectly I practiced yoga was in high school, which is well over 10 years ago. I think I'm coming up on a reunion again soon. But I took Taekwondo for 2 years in high school. And I didn't realize the connection until I took my first yoga class a little over 10 years ago in a gym. And I realized that a lot of the moves and practices that you do in Taekwondo are similar to yoga. So a lot of the flow is like vinyasa, or form, I guess they call it. And a lot of the breathing techniques, you breathe with your movement. And meditation, and of course, the stretches were very similar to yoga poses. So I think that's where my yoga began, because when I took the gym class, I made that connection and I thought, oh, I really like this. And I had missed Taekwondo. I was never very aggressive, and that was one of the things that I never made the connection with in Taekwondo. And of course in yoga, it's not about being aggressive, it's about enjoying the movement and being with the breath. So when I began taking the yoga classes about 10 years ago, it really connected with me because it was more about being present on my mat and also connecting that to outer to inner. So every day making sure that I'm more present than worrying about the future, worrying about the past. That's where I think the connection began.
Amazing. And then how did that experience, I guess, and what you were gaining from your practice inspire you to want to start teaching?
Well, when I took the classes in the gym, I found that I was a little insecure about my poses. I didn't like practicing. I felt like everybody there knew yoga already. I never felt like I was in the poses right, and my wrists were always sore afterwards. And so I bought a yoga video and did it at home, but I found that I never felt like I was doing it right. And then I took a hot yoga class several years ago, and as I was practicing this hot yoga, which I found very different because it's hot and you get a lot of frustrations out, I thought, this isn't for me. And one of the ladies that was taking the class with me asked me at the end of class, why don't you become a yoga teacher? Which I thought was really weird, considering I never considered being a yoga teacher. And that's where it began, because I realized that a lot of people had the same thoughts that I did, sore wrists, or they never felt like they were doing the poses right. So I thought, well, if I could teach other people how to enjoy yoga and maybe get the alignment right, which is where it led me to become a teacher. I had more and more people mentioning it, everything's connected. So as I met people, I had people say, why don't you become a yoga teacher? Really randomly, random places too. When I mentioned I was going to a yoga class, oh, you'd be a great teacher. So here I am.
Just got pulled into it.
Yep.
And how do you think your teaching has changed from, when you first started? I guess the last class that I was in of yours was your practice teach. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm not as nervous. That's definitely something that's changed. I'm much more, it's different. The more you teach, the more you connect with people. And I find that when I first started teaching, I was perfectionism kind of came through, which is one of my habits. And I wanted the class to be perfect, and I wanted everybody to really understand what I was trying to, whatever subject or theme we were going over. But now I realize as I teach that it's all an individual journey. And so every person that's in the class is going to get something different out of it. So I really am a little bit more free flow than I used to be. And I really try to pay attention to where people are at in the class versus how I'm structuring the class. It's more they're structuring the class, and I'm kind of allowing them to be in that space, which has grown as I've taught.
Right, yeah, you can be more adaptable, you were almost over preparing before.
Absolutely.
And
still do sometimes.
well, it seems like a good segue into the lunch break organic vinyasa class, because we were just talking a few minutes ago about how it is a little different each week and based on what you're reading in the room and where people are. So could you talk a little bit about that class and the gentle class to give people a sense of them?
Yeah, I think with the lunch break class, it's more of, we're just kind of going to see where everybody's at that comes to the class, and like we were kind of talking about earlier is, what's the weather like today? What time of the year is it? I'd like to keep it, I like flow and vinyasa. Some people want a little bit more cardio, but it's important to include breath and meditation, I think, in all yoga classes. So it's going to be a variety of classes all in one, basically to get away from work and to bring you back into, all right, I'm just here now, and I'm breathing and I'm flowing. And of course, all of my classes have a lot of modifications and alignment, I think is really important. And we'll just have fun with it. I think that's more all classes are fun, but when you're out on a lunch break, you kind of just want to get away from it and just relax and enjoy yourself a little bit, and that's what it's about.
Awesome.
And the gentle yoga, of course, is a little bit, I think, going to be a little more slow pace, and versus a vinyasa flow. There'll still be vinyasa and there'll still be flow, but a lot more breathing, a lot more really slowing things down. And I love to offer a lot of modifications. I love to offer props and the bolsters and the blankets and the straps, because it's really fun, especially with the blocks, for people to incorporate all of that into their practice.
And in regards to people and thinking like gentle class and stuff, and maybe people that are either wanting to start slowing their practice down a little bit, or even people that are newer to yoga, and maybe if you could just speak to that whole experience, just that going from that like really hyper rajasic outer energy.
Sure. Well, obviously going fast in yoga is fun too, but a lot of people I meet, one of the things I find is a fear of yoga, because just like when I began practicing, it's a fear of not doing the poses right or going too fast. And I find that a lot of times in practice, especially when you first start out, you have a hard time catching your breath, and it takes you out of yourself, it takes you out of the movement. So it's all about slowing it down and being gentle with yourself, not having any expectations, and just rolling with it a little bit more than having a structured one breath, one movement. We're going to take a few breaths and get it out of the pose as long as we need to, and take some time to really line everything up. And
sounds spacious.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and just being at Kula in general. It's awesome to be part of the team of teachers and everything.
Thank you.
So, thanks so much. Namaste.